channel. Today starts a new journey. Welcome to episode 1 of my one-day builds. Today we're going to focus on making some arm gauntlets for one of my upcoming original characters on TikTok. Today we're going to start off by using some pretty basic materials. We're going to start off with some EVA craft foam. These are from floor mats. You can get these from Amazon, Hobby Lobby, any kind of arts and crafts store, even Walmart you can find the rubber floor mats. Pleather. We're also going to be using a little bit of scrap leather that I ended up recycling from a recliner. I've also got a bunch of these little EVA triangle cutouts. These are actually cut from the floor mat's edging, where they link together. I simply cut off the edges and put them to a point. And we've also got some other cuts, more of a rectangle as well. To start off, what you're going to want to do, if you're doing an OC character or if you're doing a character that is already in existence, you want to make sure and make templates. Here we have one of my forearm guards. And here we have the template simply made from poster card. Now I'm wanting to make 2 of these, so I just cut out one uniform piece to simply cut out the 2 pieces here. Now the things that you're going to need for this build are relatively easy to come by. First off, you're going to want a heat gun, and or a hair dryer that gets up pretty hot will work as well. You're also going to want to get your hands on a hot glue gun with some Gorilla Glue sticks or some cementing paste. I highly recommend the cementing paste. It has a stronger hold and lasts longer. But the hot glue will come in handy for other intricate details or smaller items that you don't really want to have to sit and wait for the cementing paste to dry. You also may want to have a Dremel with a sanding bit. Now if you don't have a Dremel, you can just get some sandpaper and a little wooden block and make yourself a sanding block. This will help you finalize those nice edges, make them smooth all the way around, and help you bevel to get rid of all the unnecessary hard edges, if you prefer it that way. The arm guards that we're making today are going to be paired with my chest armor that I had made, and we're going to do relatively the same thing on here. Today we're just going to focus on getting that one-day build done. Since I already have these pre-cut, I'm going to go ahead and give you a quick overview of how I made them really quick. First off, if you're building by yourself and you don't have a mannequin or any kind of reference, just use yourself. So, what I did was I took my forearm and I took a tape measure and I measured from just below my elbow to just above my wrist. I elongated this piece just ever so slightly so that whenever it goes on, it will give me a little bit of wrist protection, and it will still cover the entire forearm, like so. On a different note, if you are going to use cementing paste, I do recommend Woodweld. It is a great brand, and it's one of the ones that I really only use besides going over and using my hot glue gun with Gorilla Glue sticks. Now this stuff is toxic, so be sure to wear some sort of mask, eye protection, and latex gloves. It dries in about 15 to 20 minutes, but after about 5, it's going to start drying out and becoming tacky, so that whenever you have 2 pieces with this on there, they will start to dry, and once you stick those together, they will really stick. What we're going to do is we're going to take these forearm pads, we're going to take these spikes after I Dremel down all the sides and get them nice clean edges and a nice flat backing. We're going to take those and we're just going to sporadically place these all over this forearm guard. Now let's head outside and get this build started. Alright, so the first things first is we're going to take our Dremel and our triangle pieces. We're going to go ahead and smooth out all those edges and flatten out the backside here. So be sure to put on your safety gear and let's get it started. Now that we've got all of our little triangle pieces sanded down on each side, the bottom, and smoothed out the back, we're going to go ahead and come up with a format on the wrist gauntlets of where we want these to be placed. So now it's time to figure out our spike placement for where we want these. And I have already predetermined where I want them. I want to kind of jangle them up here and just have them a little bit sporadic, but leaving enough room through the centers here so that there is room for the above straps to go on here. And then I went ahead and decided that I have these elongated pieces. I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to use them for, but I'm actually going to use them as edge pieces. Two here, and two at the top, like so. And that will be the basis of our gauntlet. And we're going to make each gauntlet almost identical. We're going to have a few variations on the angles and locations on where these spikes go. But these side pieces I'm going to have in the same places. I didn't worry about sanding down the back side of these because they're going to be on the other side of your arm. You're not going to see it. So first things first, be sure to have on your mask. And go ahead and put on your gloves as well. For this next part, we're going to start gluing with the cementing paste. Now, we're going to open this up. And you definitely want to make sure you use some really cheap brushes or something along those lines, because this stuff will destroy some brushes once it dries. So I find it best just to use really cheap brushes, or they even sell smaller bottles of the cementing paste that come with a wand. The first thing we're going to do here is we are going to cover this entire top side and paint it all down with the cementing paste. It's a decently thick layer, and then kind of spread it out a little bit over that. Make sure it gets into all the pores of the EVA and have a nice coat. I'm going to have to remove a glove because I just lost the painter. Now that we have a nice good coat on here, our next stage is going to be taking each individual spike and painting the bottom, and just the bottom, with a nice little thin coat. That's a little too much on mine. See if I can't scrape some off and use it for the next, but don't put it immediately on because it needs to be tacky first before it will adhere properly. Alright, now that those are coated, we're going to give them a couple minutes to dry out and become very tacky, so that way whenever we put it on there, it will stay. I'll be back in just a minute whenever it comes time to apply them. Alright, now that we're back, it should be tacky enough that we should be able to start placing these. Alright, and then that's what it will be right there. It doesn't look like a whole lot yet, but we are still in the beginning stages here. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and adhere all these pieces to the edge as well. And I like to give everything a good coat of this. It might be a little extreme in some eyes, but not in mine, because overall I believe that it helps, once it dries, give it a little bit more of a rigid factor. And then once we have that on, I'm going to do the exact same step and paint the bottom sides of these. going to go ahead and give these a couple minutes and we'll be back and we'll place them on. Now that we have both of them all glued and shirred up, we're going to give these 45 an hour, maybe two, to go ahead and totally, well, not totally, but close enough to cure to go ahead and do a little bit more Dremel work, clean up some edges, and make sure that these are good and ready to go for their first base coat of spray paint. Alright everyone, we're back, and it seems as though this has shirred up just enough. Then I'm going to go through with the Dremel and go ahead and finalize shape it, and then we're going to give it its first coat of paint, and then we're going to move on to a little bit of scrape and battle damage. And then the only thing left after that is to attach the straps and then detail paint. Let's do this. Okay, so we've got all that Dremel done. So we've got nice rounded corners, beveled corners. And the next thing we're going to do is hit it with the heat gun to seal all the pores of the EVA and make it more of a flat surface so that way it's far easier to paint. So we're just going to turn this here on. Okay, so we're back in here. If you can see, it's quite porous and coarse. So we're just going to take this heat gun, put it right up next to it on all the edges. Get that nice and hot so that it seals up all the pores and all the little rubber frays kind of melt away. But you don't want to hold the heat gun on there too long or you will burn your EVA, and that is not what you want. One, it doesn't smell good, and two, it's not good to inhale, and three, it's going to ruin your product. You got to hit all the edges, all the surface. Alright. That one seemed... That heat gun will slightly warp. So you just got to slightly and gently bend it back into place. And shablam. We're almost there. The next thing we're going to do is I like to use the 2x primer, either black or gray. Shake this up here. I'm going to give these guys their first primer coat. Alright, so this is what they should look like now. One solid coat. And after this paint dries, what we're going to do is come back with the Dremel and just turn that bit sideways like this and just drag it in a couple places, and it'll give nice grooves, which would be your battle damage. We'll be back. Okay, and we're back, and we're about to do the battle damage on these bracers here, or gauntlets, whatever you want to call them. But here we go. What you want to do is you want to take your Dremel and have that sideways so that as you scrape, you create a groove. Like so. You can either go really light or you can dig it in pretty decent, depending on how you want them to be. But that's essentially what it'll be. Like so. Now we'll go through, we'll hit the second one, and then we're done with all the outside tool work. I think that does it right there. Okay, so we made it inside, and I went ahead and took the liberty of completing one of them. None of them are detail painted yet, but I did strap them and attach some leather. So these are just some leather strips I cut and hot glued on through the center. Installed some D-rings on them so that I can strap them down. I grabbed some pleather and cut it to form fit my wrist and my forearm, and then just simply attached some Velcro to it so that whenever it goes on, I just have to simply hit the Velcro spots and then hit the D-rings. Let's get it on there. Oh, come on now. Don't be difficult. It's going to be difficult. Alright, so that one. Let me loop it through on the other one. This one's being difficult too. And shablam. We've got a spiked forearm. Now I still have to make the other one. Not necessarily make, I've already attached the leather straps, got the D-ring set, and the Velcro pads installed on the black pleather. I really just need to attach the plate to the pleather with some hot glue, and we're donezo with this stage. Doesn't look half bad, does it? So I'm going to go ahead and take this one off, but I'm not going to unstrap it all the way. But I am going to loosen these D-rings to let me get to the Velcro. And then I can just slip my arm out. Not half bad. Not half bad. And it still looks pretty plain. It doesn't look terrible in just gray. But once we get some metallic paint on these, they're going to look freaking sweet. So let's go ahead and attach the other one to the pleather. I'm going to have to reposition here. Again, I'm back inside, so I'm back in my room. Don't really have a workspace just yet. Now, some of you might disagree with this, but you know, it is what it is. I don't really care if it gets too hot with the hot glue. This is how I build and form fit things to me personally. So I've got that on there. And then we're going to take the back side of this one. Probably going to need this hot glue stick. And we are going to apply all the hot glue to the inside of this pad. And we're going to travel down on the edges with a nice thick bead here. And we're going to travel up the other edge, down it rather. And then we're just going to zigzag and line a bunch through here. Yep, gonna need another one. Here we go. Oh, not just yet. Won't fit just yet. Alright, now I can get this one in there. And I really don't be shy with the glue. As long as it's somewhere that's not going to be seen and seep out of the edges, and then you have to force you to clean it up with a razor by cutting it. Alright. Now, I'm going to do this. Stick that there, and then rotate it down. So that's right about there. Then, so it's shirred up properly on that glue drying, we're going to strap this sucker on until that glue cools off. But you got to work a little bit quicker with this. And these D-rings aren't really wanting to be helpful here. That one, I'll loop this one through. And get this guy all the way through there. Cinch him down, if he will. Please, just cinch down. There we go. Sounds like something's going on here. That's also why I have the straps, in case that glue tries to not exactly go well. So I'm gonna do this again. Just kind of stick some through here so that I can squish that down there. It's a little warm, but tolerable. Okay. How's that side looking? Definitely gonna need some right there. Okay. And we'll just sit here for a second. Let this cool off and dry. I did just get a little bit in my arm here, but you know, whatever. Okay, so this, bam, completes our one-day build, ladies and gentlemen. One-day build. Detail painting should only take a couple hours. Bam. We've got spiked forearms. If anyone would like to comment on what you may want to see next, I was debating on whether or not to do just another custom build for myself, for my OCs, because I've got some coming out that I need to do some parts for, or taking one of my old OCs, or ones that have already been done rather, and dissecting them to explain to you how they were made, what they were made from, and all that cool stuff. So please, let me know in the comments. Alright, so we've got our forearms done, and they're going to mesh really well with the spiked pad and the chest piece that I've already made and completed. Yeah! Yeah! Looks awesome. Alright, so it's only going to get better from here. The next episode is probably going to revolve around getting the forearms and the chest all completely detail painted. Yeah, that's probably what it will be. Stay tuned for that one. It should be a lot of fun. Hopefully I can teach you something there too, because there will be a lot of not just base painting, but weathering and making sure that these gashes and battle marks are all highlighted and look really nice. But yeah. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share it with your friends. Love your faces. I'll see you guys later.